Welcome to the Asbestos Knowledge Empire.
What does asbestos management mean to you?
I used to really struggle with the asbestos management at my site, but now it's a breeze.
It used to be really expensive. I was paying loads, but now I've got my asbestos power team in place. It's so much easier.
Asbestos could be a pain in the arse if not handled right.
We had to stop the job because asbestos was discovered. Now we don't have that problem.
Asbestos management is easier than you think. Asbestos management. Be proactive, not reactive. Think about asbestos first, not last.
And now your hosts, best-selling authors and asbestos experts, Ian Stone and Neil Munro.
Welcome to the Asbestos Knowledge Empire. I'm Ian Stone.
I'm Neil Munro.
So today we're talking about returning to work. Most people, a lot of people have had kind of a year working from home, really, with COVID. And it's kind of a bit of a refresh just on what to think about when going back into that work environment, whether it be an office, a hairdresser's, whatever, basically back to your place of work where you haven't been either for a year or even for a few months.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. There's a lot of changes coming, isn't there? Whether, our people, I know big companies are thinking, do we need to have these big offices anymore and stuff like that? So there's going to be a lot of unloading, I think, of offices
100%.
and stuff like this. But we kind of wanted to focus on, if you are going back to your office or place of work, what sort of things you need to think about. Because whenever there's a change in what you're doing, procedures, even if it's, simple personnel changes, that should always trigger a basic review of your asbestos management plan and the process that sort of form that plan. Any changes whatsoever. And that could be a simple review, couldn't it? Just reading through just to say, does that still work for our business?
Yeah. And that's the thing. There have been a lot of big changes this last year. And like I say, the big part is people working from their home rather than their actual office.
Yeah. And
I don't know, I forget things on a Monday morning that I spoke about at the end of last week because I've had a weekend.
Yeah.
Let alone being at home for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of things go out of my head and out the window. And I'm sure it's the same for most people.
There's definitely lots of things to consider. One will be, will it be the same? It's likely not to be the same when you're going back. The desks where you're sitting, where you're actually physically working, is that going to be the same? Chances are it's probably not. Something's probably have changed, whether that be kind of distancing from people, whether there's new kind of
layouts,
walking patterns around the office and place of work, all to deal with. And that could have an impact on your asbestos management, on how you kind of, your assessments of people being exposed to asbestos. Because if you're changing people's kind of working environment, where they're sitting, where they're working, where they're walking, where they're having their lunches, etc., maybe you need to revisit those.
Definitely, yeah, that's massive. I mean, the priority risk assessments they're just that, aren't they? They're to assess the area and the location. But if people have made changes in the office, that could be massive.
Yeah, people could be in more contact with asbestos. There could be a higher risk of items being damaged because of these changes. And so it's kind of really, you need to think about, what changes have happened and if that will affect your day-to-day running and the day-to-day safety of people from asbestos in your building.
An example of that would be asbestos priority that was done for an asbestos material that had low footfall past it previously.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you're changing the way that people are walking in and through, then that could now be a high risk area.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of businesses are doing that, aren't they? Making one-way systems.
Exactly, one-way systems, turning things that weren't offices into offices so they can spread people out more.
Yeah, mothballed areas and stuff that they're now using.
Yeah.
Because they need that additional space to spread people out.
Yeah, go and use the third floor that we don't really use. It's a bit dusty and cobwebby, but it'll be all right.
There. Yeah, exactly.
All we've got to do is chuck some desks up there. Everybody can get on the Wi-Fi. We're okay. Yeah. That scenario kicks in, and all of a sudden, you're putting people in a situation where they're in and around and surrounded by asbestos.
Exactly, and kind of your mindset will be COVID related and solving this initial, we need to get people back, or we need to make sure they're safe from COVID. And sometimes other stuff gets forgotten about, but any change, that's kind of, you need to get into that mindset of any change within the building, you should be kind of reviewing your asbestos management. every step of the way. And that often gets forgotten about, doesn't it? It kind of, you are, and it's human nature. You focus on the problem in hand and sometimes forget about the additional stuff.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And I suppose some of the other things...
That's taken into account. There's other things to play here, isn't it? It's like... coming back. Yeah,
coming back. Like I said, the big thing for me is remembering what to do.
And that time period as well, isn't it? We're talking, what, a year?
Yeah.
Some businesses have been...
Some businesses have been
out a year.
A year, exactly. So in that space of time, has the asbestos reinspection been carried out or not? Because that could be out of date. So that is first and foremost a thing to get on top of, to make sure that the asbestos is still in a safe condition. Yeah,
definitely, because compliance, for a building that's not being used, would be a low priority probably, if people are at home. But yeah, definitely keeping that stuff up to date.
If nobody's been into that facility, a lot of things can happen in a year.
Yeah.
I've seen buildings go from kind of looking decent and well used, shut up the door, and within the space of months, they go to rack and ruin.
Yeah.
A leak occurs.
Yeah.
Plants and greenery start growing within a building.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
A non-maintained building.
They do fall apart relatively quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if there's, water.
Yeah.
And that even may be like condensation and, just dampness.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, if the heating hasn't been on in the building.
Yeah.
That can really
take
over.
No airflow. Yeah, mould, damp, horribleness, just kind of becoming part of the building. And you kind of rock back up on the Monday morning thinking, right, all I've got to do is put my laptop out and I'm good to go. Yeah. And it's not the case.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I say, the reinspection will be massively part of that thing. And another big part for me, like I alluded to earlier, is just the procedures and what you've got to do. Like I say, my memory is terrible. And when it comes to asbestos, you need to remember who's got to do what, in what order, what are the processes, because it's not just a case of, somebody turns up to, so say you have got a problem in the office and you come back and there has been a leak and it's a mess. What do? You don't just let the contractor come in and crack on. Need to check the asbestos register, need to check the survey. Is that survey good enough for them to come and do that repair work? Are they asbestos awareness trained? They need to follow your signing in procedure, whether it be signing in via a computer or whether it is a book that's on reception. They need to sign to say that they've read that information and that information is okay for them to go and do their works. And for me, all of this, I think, will go out of people's heads because, like you said, it's the instant, oh, bugger, we've got to get back up and running. We're back in. Let's do it. Yeah, just make a call, get so-and-so in, come and crack on. And that could create kind of issues.
Yeah, definitely. And that comes down to kind of refreshing everyone on those procedures, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely refresh your training on how you manage those processes for all of the individuals and possibly all staff. That's really important. It's not just the people who, I don't know, we just got a maintenance guy. He's the only one that really needs to know about it. But it's not. It's the reporting issues and it's the whole team would kind of need that refresh. And like you said, being away from a place, for 12 months or possibly longer, you are going to forget.
Exactly.
You're going to forget. And things will likely have changed from then. So it may be a whole new procedure that needs to be rolled out and thought about.
Definitely. So, yeah, they're just some things to kind of really bear in mind when you're stepping back into your place of work.
Yeah, rushing back into the office and kind of, we're all sort of facing this kind of financial downturn possibly for many companies. And obviously compliance can sometimes go to the bottom of the list of priorities. But in essence, it could cause a greater problem if you haven't thought about it properly. Great. I hope you like that one and found that interesting. If you do need any help or assistance with kind of reviewing any of your back to work sort of procedures from an asbestos point of view or health and safety point of view, then reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you. Okay. Remember, asbestos first, not last.